Okay. What was I doing here?
You stay away from my money.
Okay, leave. Behind closed door. Oh, right.
Fortune smile on you, brother. Salve again, friend. How is it possible? Your Sisyphus was a Greek king. He was forcing Tantal. Oh. Anyway, I don't know which god you managed to upset to get yourself. So I'll tell you what. Anytime, friend. Now I'm going to keep your secret. Oh, and if our conversation.
Oop, right, fire. Fire hot. Give me that money. Okay. This away.
Ah, you've returned. I will tell you the one. Let us. Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization before their time in the sun is over. Now, will you join me in a friendly Socratic dialogue? Wonderful. Then let me begin with a question. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong? You are an overthinker too. We're the same then. It is probably why I became a philosopher. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the golden rule, surely your struggle can only have become more difficult. Well, that's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable, because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the golden rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree? That is an excellent question, and it leads directly to my next line of inquiry. So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing? Are you sure? Or is it possible that humans simply haven't figured out the right system yet? So is it up to each of us to decide what right and wrong mean to us individually? Or must we simply follow the laws and customs of whichever community we're in? So if a man feels that stoning to death his unfaithful wife is right, then is it right? I agree, but why? Didn't you just say right and wrong depends on the individual? I see. So you get to decide right from wrong, but people who see things differently are not allowed. What makes you special? Empathy, the emotion? Let me ask you this. Imagine you were forced to choose between the death of your beloved spouse and the death of two innocent strangers. Knowing there will be no legal consequences, who would you mark for death? A high-minded ideal, but I'm not sure I believe that. Our empathy, like a siren song calling us away from our true path, would lure us toward the greater evil. Can such a beguiling thing be a reliable cornerstone for anything, let alone the perfect moral code? My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about right and wrong. Surely you would agree there are circumstances where an exception may be made, such as where it is necessary for self-defense or to prevent a greater evil. For any rule, you can imagine there are countless situations in which that rule may be suspended, and those situations are impossible to codify. If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all. Well, reasonable minds may differ, and if utopia really is possible, then I would be glad to be wrong. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your questions. I will tell you, but you may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know. Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that could not. Thus, the Shrine of Persephone became the Shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the Temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans. However, there was one thing that always seemed out of place to me, and it is the very thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription. We had no idea until years later, when the first of my friends began to die. As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another, an even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail. There are certain things you must see for yourself. Take this key. You'll need it to open the gate.
That is a terrible looking key.
Did we not discuss it at length already? Oh, I see. You're toying with me. Ha! Ha! If I did, would I be living like this? You mean, how did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past for company? It's a long story. I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night I found myself in a tavern in an argument with a drunk mercenary. It became heated, he drew a gladius, and I won the argument, but lost my life. I woke up on the banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death under the Golden Rule. So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I was not the first to take refuge here. I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades' tyranny. I fear that if you were to utter my name in the city, even by mistake, that Hades would hear you and know I am still alive. My generation was wiped out, turned to gold, many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down here. I think it's safest to assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize that his furies hadn't finished the job, and he'd send them after me again. I'm afraid I am the only one left. There were 12 of us in the beginning, but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness and despair. It has been lonely. Before my unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years. Living in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet. Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides most of the nutrients I need. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation, so I like to imagine arguments, where I argue both sides. But, like so many things in life, arguments are better with a partner. They are one and the same. The Romans call him Pluto, but long before that, my people called him Hades. As you wish. I enjoyed our chat, but please, keep my presence here a secret, yes?
That's not the way forward. There it is. Alright, made a profit on the arrows. Oop.
You there! I'm sorry to trouble you, but I couldn't help but notice that fine bow you're carrying. No idea how you managed to get your hands on it, especially in the light of our dear old magistrate's ban, but I'm impressed. And before you ask, no, I wouldn't dream of trying to buy it from you. I have no use for a wooden bow myself. But I would like to propose a joint business venture of sorts. Tell me, do you have any idea how people here end up as golden statues? And here I was thinking I was the only one to figure it out. In any case, supposedly one or two of those arrows is enough to turn a full-grown man into gold. Now, of course, that is a travesty, a terrible, horrible waste of human life which has to be stopped. And yet, on the other hand, I can't help but think of a tale told by that Greek fella Aesop, the goose that laid the golden egg. With the ability to transmute organic matter into gold, one could create infinite wealth. Use your imagination. Golden animals, insects, trees and plants. The Midas touch without the drawbacks. We are talking riches beyond imagining. And even if we were to split all those riches between the two of us, half of infinite wealth is still infinite. Interested? Look, I might have skimmed over that one, but don't be so pedantic. Are you interested or not? Excellent. So the first question is, how do we get our hands on one of those golden bows? Now, I have a plan, but first, tell me, are you familiar with the story of the goddess Diana? No problem. Allow me to explain. Diana is our goddess of the hunt, the moon, and the underworld,
Artemis.
depending on who you ask. The one thing priests and poets agree on is that she carried with her a golden bow and a quiver of golden arrows. And it just so happens that there is a shrine of Diana in this very forum, with a prominent statue of the goddess herself. And would you like to guess what she's holding in her hand? Precisely. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent in that temple staring at it, trying to figure out how to retrieve it without breaking you-know-what. Oh, gods no! If you tried that, we'd all be dead within moments, I'm sure. No, here's what I propose. You give your bow to me, I cover it in a thin layer of gold leaf, and we create a replica of a golden bow. Then, you enter the shrine, extinguish the braziers, and under cover of darkness, swap out the fake for the original. It's not theft exactly, it's more of a trade. But make no mistake, this is a dangerous path, and there's no way of knowing where it will lead. But in my experience, all the best adventures begin with a risky first step. Now, you must have questions. Ask away. Because the gods would see you, of course. Hence, my proposal. I'm more of an ideas man, whereas you're obviously the more resourceful and heroic type. I have complete confidence in you. When Prometheus stole fire from the gods and became a hero to all mankind, do you think he was worried about the danger? So, are you in, partner?
Huh.
Wonderful. Now, if you'll hand over your bow, I can get started applying a layer of gold leaf. This is a quality weapon. Now, bear with me for a moment. And here we are, a gold leaf bow. Now I've gone and unlocked the Shrine of Diana for you, so as quick as you can, head on inside. It's just at the end of the street on the left. May the gods not watch over you.
Alright, well, now I can finally see. Where am I? I'm exactly where I was. How did he talk to me? Am I below the marketplace? Alright, so I guess this is the only way forward. Okay, sand. Ah, come on, frames. Where are you? There you are. I think Senate was supposed to be social deception. At least I think that's how they played it in Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0. Hey, more arrows. Well, guess your pathfinding can't handle stairs. Okay. Yeah, looks like that's the only way forward. Ah, there you are. Oh, autosave.
Stop! Do not come any closer. Who are you? I am Kabash. And let me guess. Another Greek or Roman come to loot and plunder the resting place of my ancestors, Trousers, boots. Curious here. No, I suppose you do not. Then what do you want? To what end? That is welcome news. You really are not Greek or Roman, are you? I was planning to return it myself, but for now, I must remain. Here, take it, and restore the honor of Osiris.
Ah, okay. Would have thought it would be set.
Now, as for the other plaque. Indeed, I have it right here. I stumbled across a collection of dusty curiosities while searching for a place to hide from the hungry children of Amit, and there it was. You may not. In fact, I am about to destroy it. Because it speaks a treacherous, blasphemous lie. I will tell you, but first, do you know what this place is? It has a name, and that is the Duat. See what has become of it. I have been down here for weeks, piecing together its story. And here is what I have learned. As Egypt declined and the Greeks had their turn to flourish, their souls came here in great numbers. But instead of adopting our ways, they copied and corrupted them. When they found the obelisk bearing the name Osiris, the true god of the underworld, they desecrated it, removing his name and replacing it with Hades.
Oh wait, no,
Even the
Anubis.
ferryman of the dead, known to my people long before as Kerti, they renamed to Keron. As if that desecration was not enough, they built over this place, using it as the foundation for their own underworld, so that ours was forgotten. My only solace is that the Greeks then suffered the same fate when the Romans rose to power, renaming Hades to Pluto, and the cycle began anew. I am glad to hear it, which brings me to this other, fourth plaque. It is inscribed with a script I do not recognize, but it is ancient, almost as if it is older than the plaque bearing Osiris's name. But if that is so, it would imply the gods of Egypt are mere imitations too, copied and corrupted from an ancient people who prospered even before us. And that my people did to them what the Greeks and Romans did to us. But this, I cannot accept. I sense a deception. Perhaps it is the work of Set, the usurper, seeking to undermine Osiris once more. You will never know. This work of sacrilege must be destroyed, thrown into the black abyss below in Osiris's name. You are too late. It is done. You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness. If it will help you to see reason, then ask. I do not know. What could possibly lie beneath the underworld? Perhaps it is infinite darkness. Perhaps it is the lair of Amit, the devourer of souls. All I know is, it would be unwise to venture down there. Is everyone so contrary where you are from? Do not even consider it. I think if someone is to break the golden rule, it will not be me. For I try to live as I always have by the command of the goddess Ma'at. Do to the doer to make him do. As for the punishment that will come from it, I finally understand why it has long been said among my people that gold is the skin of the gods. This is where I belong, as caretaker of the memories of my people. If our ways are to be remembered, it falls to me. I am from Rakotis, which you may know as Alexandria, the name of the city the Greeks built over it. I was a fisherman, like my father before me. Since the Romans had taken over from the Greeks, I took the opportunity to learn Latin and eventually traveled to Rome. When the fires broke out last year, I tried to help. I gathered terrified locals into my boat and led many of them to safety farther along the Tiber. On my 7th trip, a passenger demanded I wait for his brother. But we were full to almost sinking, and smoke was all around us. I told him his brother would have to save himself, and he tried to bribe me by placing a coin into my hand. When I refused, he drew a dagger and thrust it between my ribs. I awoke on the banks of the river to a stranger wearing a ram headdress. He said his name was Kerti, and at the time, I simply thought him odd. It did not dawn on me until much later that he was the Kerti, the ram-headed ferryman described in the Book of the Dead. Good. Be gone from this place. Wait. You are planning to go down there. I see it in your eyes. You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness. We shall see.
Nurgle. From the 40,000 years in the future. Okay, that's just a rock. Okay, so Nurgle is Sumerian. Good to know. Stranger, heed the final words of Namkuzu. Bear witness to our aftermath and lament us. We did our best to live as the gods commanded. We planted and harvested together. We shared bread and beer. We accepted newcomers with open arms, as if family. But with each newcomer, the bonds of our family strained, and soon we were as strangers to each other. And when those bonds were finally broken, my brothers and sisters planted only for themselves, and ate and drank alone. And it was there, in the empty space between us, that sin took a root. Nurgle's sentinels have awoken, and clamor at our barricades. Learn from our mistakes. Wait, hold up. Take. There we go. Can't go that way? Fine. Pressure plate for a trap, huh? Well, clearly I don't want to stand on it then. Did I miss anything over here? Alright, can't go that way because of the invisible wall, so I guess not. I highly doubt that I want to try and jump through those spikes, so this way. Broken set of pottery. More barricades. Another trap. There's the other side of that. More barricades, another invisible wall.
When I told you that you would not find a way back up, that was not a prediction. That was a promise. You will die here. I disagree. I warned you against coming down here, against perpetuating this sacrilege, but you persisted. You have undermined and dishonored the true god of the underworld. How did you think this would end, if not with bloodshed? Very well, I will listen, but if I sense deception, or if you further insult my gods, I will carry out my threat. So tell me, why should I let you live after you salvaged this instrument of blasphemy? Why? To what end? But why? What business could you have with Osiris? Blasphemous fool! You have sealed your own fate. Ha, good. I welcome it. You see, the philosopher told me that each time it breaks, Osiris bellows with rage, and his voice shakes the very foundations of the earth. I can only hope one more tremor will lay waste to this fragile place once and for all, and you along with it.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Curse you, and curse this place!
Come on. Ladder. Ladder, come on. Okay. Okay, no, it's not that way. This way. Wait. Was it that way? How did I get in here? Ah, there it is. Where'd he go? Alright, while I'm here, I should probably loot another 1,000 or 2 coins. Probably just gonna go for the ones in the tavern and then head straight for the time portal. And this loading is taking forever. Ah, there it goes. Ouch. Well, I guess I am really close to the... other area. Yeah, can't see anything. Ah. Dodge. Wait, Crud, where's the hole? Ah, crud, I'm all the way back here.
Why? But blasphemous fools!
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Serpentine, serpentine. Ladder. Come on, ladder. There we go. I have 1 HP left, but I have the entirety of the run back to the surface to regenerate it. Come on, come on. Yeah. Loading screen. Ugh. Don't regen during this. Alright. Ah, there it goes. Yeah. Brains. Give it a couple seconds. Alright, I can tank 2 more.
I've survived this before.
That's the thingamajig. No, that's still locked.
Out of my way! Out of my way!
Ah, there's the bar.
Hide!
No, I'm just here to take the money.
Out of my way!
Huh. Just gotta claim 2,000 gold per cycle so I can maintain the stuff. Debt payoff.
Yulia? Oh no. All right, I can do that. But how did you... All right, of course. I'll make sure this gets to him. All right, let me see. Stop Fabia going in, but send the new arrival to the empty shrine. Understood. I'll go, but once I'm done, I'll need you to tell me how you know all of this.
Fresh meat, huh?
Alright, gotta wait for you.
Keep an eye out for Centilla, would you?
Oh, don't mind me. I just live here.
I won't.
We're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. Is that? Ah, I see. Look, it's unfortunate, but all that matters now, Ask then. You see, in my search for a way to save my people, I learned of an ancient ritual to Proserpina, the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal.
Okay.
It's said to open a doorway in time, so that if the unthinkable happens, one person can pass through it and travel back to the past. And when I saw you arrive in a flash of light from the goddess's shrine, I knew that person was you. You don't belong in our time, do you? 2,000 years? That is unfathomable. Please, tell me, in your time, what did you see? What had become of us? Of this city? I have imagined it, our downfall, 1,000 times. But it still breaks my heart to hear the truth of it.
All I can tell you is that it's a ritual sacrifice to Proserpina.
I stumbled across instructions. I have to recite a prayer, and of course, as with all rituals, some sacrifice is involved. Usually that means wine or food, or in some cases, a live animal. In this case, the sacrifice is rather more costly. The life of the person performing the ritual. I don't suppose you saw any sign of me in the future? I assume that was me. If I'm forced to perform the ritual, it's going to cost me everything. You'll try to make sure I don't need to use it, won't you? Well, I suppose that's all I can ask for. If I understand Proserpina's ritual correctly, that problem should take care of itself. Let me see if I can explain.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
paradox.
manage to prevent the
If you
sin
don't do
that
it,
breaks
then
the golden
I
rule,
never arrived.
I won't need to bring you here. I won't create the portal, and you will never have been able to come here. Thus, you'll have created a paradox. If this occurs, you should be flung back to your own time, having changed the past for all of us. Make sense?
Sure, why not?
Good. Now, was there something else you wanted to discuss? You mean Duilius? Releasing him is out of the question, I'm afraid. That man is a liability we simply cannot afford. Perhaps you're not aware he was caught multiple times, sneaking around in places he should not have been. Look, I can see where you're going with this. You think me cruel. I assure you that is not the case. You may not be aware of this, but it was not so long ago, during the Republic, the law of the 12 Tables would have required that he be killed as soon as he was born, owing to his deformities. Here we see to it that he has food, water, and shelter, and most importantly, he is able to continue living. A privilege that would be taken away from all of us were he to be released and commit the crime of trespass. The man has no self-discipline, poor comprehension of what is going on around him, and is an incorrigible rule breaker. I will not jeopardize the lives of my people so that one man can go free. Now, was there something else? I've had plenty of time to think about it. Let me see if I can sum up my thoughts. I've always considered my guiding star to be the well-being of the Roman people. Our survival and prosperity have always hinged upon honoring the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. Give the gods what they want and we all prosper. Dishonor them and we all die. It's as simple as that. The real enemy in this place is not the golden rule, but human failings. The temptation to slide into degeneracy, greed, and hubris. I trust that answers your question. If I did, I'd have led these people out of here already. Sextus Sentius Imperiosus is my name, though magistrate is the proper way to address me. Before I wound up here, I was a decurion in the cavalry of Imperial Rome, helping protect civilization from the barbarians.
Deck is 10, right?
It's a cavalry officer. I had 30 men under my command. This was my uniform. As magistrate, I usually wear a toga, but today I may need to survive long enough to create the portal for you. So it seemed prudent. My men and I were at the Emporium in Rome as honor guard for a visiting dignitary arriving upriver by barge. Now the port is usually bustling, but just as our guests arrived, waves of people began running toward the river from streets and alleyways in every direction. They were trying to escape a terrible fire. Unfortunately, the crowd sent my horse into a panic, and I remember it losing its footing by the water's edge. The next thing I knew, I was waking up on a riverbank not far from here in the company of some stranger. I went looking for my horse and discovered that lonely temple. You can probably figure out the rest. I was elected 7 months ago, uncontested because of my command experience. Since then, there's been growing agitation for another election. They're supposed to be annual, but I agreed to hold it sooner, hoping it would placate my constituents. Unfortunately, it just seems to have emboldened certain elements instead. Very well. Thank you. I'll be waiting here for news.
Oh, right. Never mind.
If you're snooping around in my possessions, you're wasting your time.
No, I literally took the wrong path.
Oh, don't mind me. I just live here.
Yeah, and you have nothing useful to say. Yo.
Domitius doesn't usually... My name is Marcus Malleolus Gurgis. You seem to have confused me with someone else. You mean my heterochromia? I am guilty of nothing more than having different colored eyes. And I'm hardly the only person with the condition. Alexander the Great had it too, as it happens. I like to think it is simply the way the gods have chosen to mark a natural-born ruler. Nothing more. Well, I am not suffering from any delusions, as today's election will firmly establish. Unlikely, because it simply isn't true. Now, was there something else you wanted? Look, if I had a Roman plaque in my possession, I'd be happy to sell it to you, but I don't, so I can't. I trust you can see yourself out.
I'm not supposed to be in here. Talk. What bit?
An intriguing proposition. Go on. Perhaps you're not as silly as those clothes make you look. What makes you say that? You know, I may have the very thing you're looking for. Some time ago, when he still cared for me, he wrote me a love letter. Only, he used the wrong name. Now, addressing one's wife by the wrong name is not unheard of among philandering Romans. But in this case, the name he got wrong was his own. I confronted him about it, and he stammered through some incoherent response. I let it go, eventually, and yet questions have lingered in the back of my mind ever since. But wait a minute. Why exactly are you helping me? To withdraw? Listen, I may not be Penelope to his Ulysses, but to ruin his plans to become a magistrate? You must think me quite mad. I've heard enough. Get out of here at once.
Alright, I'll do it next lane.
Come quickly.
Luke.
We're being robbed.
Actually, you know what?
Do I need to call Domitian?
I will, in fact, just rob you first.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. Alright, call it there.